Let us try to understand selection sort in this particular video. We do have some elements 16, 64, 48, 108, 54, 12. So here in selection sort, we are going to consider the very first element as the minimum element. Compare this minimum element with all the remaining elements in the array. So 16 is compared with 64. 16 is only minimum. 16 is compared with 48. Next with 108. Next with 54. Next with 12. So 12 is lesser than 16. So my minimum value becomes 12 now. So the minimum element is swapped with the element which is under comparison. That is the main principle here. So 12 occupies the position of 16 and 16 occupies the position of 12. So this is beginning of my second iteration and all the remaining elements, they remain as it is. So if you see, the very first element 12 is sorted now. So here also in selection sort also, we are maintaining the sorted array separately and unsorted array separately as we did it in insertion sort, but the process is little different. So now from 64 onwards, unsorted array is starting. So 64 is considered as the minimum element now. Compare 64 with 48 because 48 is lesser. So 48 occupies the minimum position. Then compare 48 with 108, 48 with 54, 48 with 16. 16 is less when compared to 48. So minimum becomes 16. So now our second task is to swap the element 16 with the element that is under comparison, which is 64 here. So 64 takes the position of 16 and 16 takes the position of 64. Remaining elements, they are as it is. So this is our third iteration beginning. So if you observe, the first two elements are sorted now. Now in the unsorted array, 48 is the first element. So let us consider 48 as the minimum element. Compare 48 with 108. 108 is only larger one. Compare 48 with 54. 48 with 64. So minimum remains the same, 48. So there is no need for swapping. The first three elements are sorted now. 48 is there in its position. So there is no need of swapping. So remaining elements, they stay as it is. So here, this is beginning of our fourth iteration. So here in the unsorted array, we have 108 as the first element. So let us consider 108 as the minimum. Now compare this minimum element with 54. Obviously 54 is less than 108. So minimum becomes 54. So 54 is now compared with 64. 64 is larger. So minimum is 54 only. So what is the second task in selection sort? Swapping between minimum element and the element under comparison. Element under comparison is 108. So let us put 54 in its position and 108 comes to the position of 54. And remaining elements, they stay as it is. So this is fifth iteration. So if you see, the first four elements are sorted now. So in unsorted array, now the first element is 108. Let us consider minimum as 108. Compare 108 with 64. 64 becomes the minimum element. So now swap minimum element with the element under comparison. 64 comes here and 108 goes to the position of 64. So by end of the sixth iteration, we are having all the elements which are sorted. So in this selection sort, the main tasks that are happening are two: finding out minimum element in each and every iteration, and replacing, by end of that iteration, replacing that minimum element with the element under comparison. These two tasks are major important tasks. So we are going to have different iterations starting from the 0th index up to the last element. Hope you understood this selection sort. Thank you.